First two cards we have are both Snivy and Morelull. Looking at Snivy, we know it is a Gen 5 starter, which leads me to believe we'll be seeing Tepig and Oshawott accompanying Snivy, or Snivy be here all by itself. Because we do obviously know very much that Superior is coming into the game. If it's not, then we're just going to be getting a lonely Snivy, and I highly doubt that's going to be the case. But Snivy looks to be exactly the same as the Bulbasaur Evo line. So Bulbasaur being HP 70 for 2 cost of a 40 attack. And most likely Snivy's going to evolve into a very similar Ivysaur, 90 HP, 3 cost for a 60 attack. But I doubt it's going to be anywhere near as bulky as what Venusaur ever is. So most likely it's going to follow the same trend as Victory Bell, coming in maybe 140 or even 150 health. But I think it will have about 90 or 100 attack for maybe a 3 cost, or even a 4 cost. It might have an ability, or even a lesser attack as well put onto it. So this is interesting because we know nothing about what Superior is going to be. We don't know what the card's going to look like, we don't know what the stat lines are going to look like, so we can only guess. But it is more than likely going to follow the Bulbasaur route. But on the other hand, we have Morelull. So Morelull obviously evolving into Shiinotic. Morelull looks to be very basic at this point. But I think Shiinotic might have a little hidden ability up its sleeve. So it may poison, or it may put the opposing Pokemon to sleep. Because obviously the only Pokemon at the moment within the grass category that puts to sleep is indeed Vileplume. But of course we know that as a 2-stage evolution and not a 1-stage. So maybe Morelull might be a very easy sleep, very easy poison Pokemon, excuse me, much like what Venom offers. It's interesting to see these two cards here side by side, knowing absolutely nothing about their evolved forms, so we can only speculate at this point, but I think these two cards may surprise us more than we initially think. Mew Ex. Now of course when I first saw this card, I was like, wow, this is a ditto in literally in every regard, right? It's a 3 cost, you choose one of your opponent's active Pokemon's attacks, and you use it as this attack. It's literally a Ditto. However, Ditto can choose anything on the board, whereas Mew Ex is obviously bound to the active spot. But this is where things get interesting, okay? This is where things get very interesting. If you go outside of the Ditto route, you have yourself something that looks like this. I bet you wasn't expecting this, was you? Well, I went and did a little bit of a research, and apparently Mew Ex in the TCG has this ability as well with genome hacking. But there's a silver lining to this. If you use this ability and it's all colorless energy attached to Mew, you discard 0 energy. So if you apply yourself to a Charizard EX or Mewtwo EX, you go for Side Drive or Crimson Storm, you're not going to be discarding any energy unless it's either a fire or psychic attached to it. So you could throw Mew Ex into any deck. Doesn't matter what it is. It can go into anything. Water, electric, fire, grass, steel, anything. And you can pretty much tiptoe around the discarded energy type. And you can continuously nuke opposing Pokemon without the downside of it. That is the beauty of this card. And of course, we also have Dragonite here as well. Dragonite being a little cherry on top of the already layered cake. You can just go ahead and completely rip apart their board for a 3 cost instead of a 4 cost. And of course, you don't need water or electric energy to boot. This is the beauty of Mew Ex. And I've seen no one talk about Dragonite. May have seen Mewtwo and Charizard. But of course, they just either didn't know about a caveat, or they didn't know that Mew doesn't even need the fire or psychic to get going. There's going to be some very interesting things for this card, and I think people are going to be looking way further out the box for this one. But of course, if you want to start copying stuff, you've got to copy 3 and above, right? Why on earth would you want to copy a 2 or 1 ability? Unless it's something really, really good. I don't know why you'd want to. But Mew Ex is going to be a very, very dangerous card. Very dangerous. And of course, it fits into any deck no matter what it is. We have our 2 revealed trainer cards being both Blue and Leaf. We have 5 trainer cards coming with the expansion. However, we don't know what the other 3 are, so we can only speculate at that point, but we will get to that towards the end of the video. But Blue and Leaf, I have heard people saying that they're just going to run the other stuff. They're going to run Sabrina, Geo, whatever it is in between, Misty, Brock, Surge. But when you get into the deeper parts of these cards, obviously Leaf I think is going to be more situational, whereas Blue, equally situational. However, if you put into certain decks, it could be absolutely vital for the outcome of the match. And what I have in mind for Blue is Melmetal. I bet you didn't see this one coming, but I am a true believer that Melmetal is maybe 2 or 3 steel cards away from being fantastic. And those cards are probably going to be along the lines of Metagross, Skarmory, or even Steelix. But Blue really does impact Melmetal in a way I don't think anyone could ever have seen coming. So obviously I have not seen people talking about this, so I'm going to show you guys, okay, what it means to be a Melmetal player and get dominated by Mewtwo and Starmie. You're probably thinking to yourself, why are you getting dominated by those 2 cards for when their damage is being nerfed by 20? Well, Mewtwo still one-shots Melmetal. Instead of 150, it's 130. And Starmie eats well into Melmetal. Instead of 90 attack, it's going to be 70. But then you're probably wondering, well, if it's 70, I have 60 left over. I can just potion up. You can do, but what if you don't have a potion? Think about that. And they might have an Articuno on the bench. Articuno is going to come in and kill off Melmetal. But these scenarios here only work if you hit them first. So if you hit Starmie first, they're more than likely going to retreat. Or if they hit you first, you hit them. They're probably not going to stay in, but then they come in with their Articuno and they just finish you off that way. But if you have Blue, this negates that. Blue will neutralize this damage to 60, leaving you at 70, leaving you enough room to not get killed pretty much. Unless, of course, they draw a Geo. Same goes for Mewtwo as well. Instead of 130 is now 120. You're going to be left with 30 health. And they're going to have to use a Geo to kill you off. And if they don't have a Geo, they've got to retreat. And more than likely, being a Mewtwo player, they're not going to have hardly any energy on the bench whatsoever. This is where Blue comes in handy for Melmetal. And it is a fantastic addition to make him Melmetal more of a threat on the board. Surviving more, being more versatile in various different fights. I really think that this is going to be a massively key component for Melmetal to be better along the way and pretty much into the future. Because as I said before, there's only a certain few more cards that Melmetal needs to be great. And once those cards come out, Melmetal is going to shine. But for now, we have Blue. And Blue, quite frankly, you're doing amazing for this, okay? You're doing absolutely amazing. Brand new Vaporeon. This is an interesting card because it's not an EX, which did surprise me when I first saw it. But it has the ability of washouts. As often as you like, during your turn, you may move a water energy from one of your bench water Pokemon to your active water Pokemon. And of course, you're probably already thinking about Starmie, right? Because Starmie has the 0 retreat cost. You apply maybe a Misty to this, you get lucky with free energy, or even more if Misty loves you so much. And you can start distributing all of that energy across the board. It's crazy. The Gyarados and Cloyster are probably going to benefit from this. Obviously, you naturally fall of Blastoise. I don't blame you, okay? I don't blame you one bit. But that is what instinctively came to everybody's mind when they saw this. But I bet they didn't think about Gyarados or Cloyster. And Cloyster at the moment is just not played at all. But I think this might help it. Obviously, sometimes you got to rely on Misty. And if Misty fails, then you're not going to get anywhere in hell, pretty much. But with this new Vaporeon, this is where exciting things happen. And I do think that you're going to be seeing a few more big guns coming out of water for this. And of course, we've got no idea what the rest of the expansions are going to hold, because they're saying there's going to be over 80 cards. And we've only seen, what, 10 of them? Maybe a little bit more than that now. So we may be seeing more water. Maybe the Oshawott line. Who knows? But for now, we can only speculate for these two, I think. And of course, Blastoise as well. It's just going to be interesting how this turns out. People were pretty much getting scary over this card, right? They were going, oh my god, it's Vaporeon. It's wonderful. It makes the already Vaporeon look even worse than what it was originally. Well, this is the brand new Vaporeon. You're probably going to be seeing this in every single water deck. If you're not seeing every single water deck, then that person is clearly doing it wrong, or they just don't have the card. But I think everyone's going to go out of their way to craft this thing if you are a water deck user. And it's going to be absolutely absurd if you can pop it off on the right cards. And maybe we might see a Gary meta. I doubt it, but it will boost Gary a little bit more than what he already is. Tauros. Tauros is going to be a definer in many of games. You're going to be seeing this thing probably in a heck of a lot of decks. It's going to be in a heck of a lot of tournaments, because obviously you're going to be seeing a rampant of Pikachus everywhere. Tauros reads 3 cost for 40 plus attack. If your opponent's active Pokemon is in Pokemon EX, this attack does 80 more damage. Completely wipes the floor with Pikachu in 1 hit. Takes out Zapdos and Starmie if you have a Geo in hand. Tauros is an absolute menace. Obviously, we have a current Tauros being 100 health, but a 2 cost for 50 attack. There's no fancy, nothing pizzazz about the current Tauros, but this new Tauros is going to be an absolute monster. And chances are, if you can get this thing out on the active spot on your very first turn, or your turn after that, most likely the first turn, obviously, you need it for that one, you can start applying energy on this, and if you're going second, and it's there already, this is wonderful. You can then just plow through their active spot if they have EX Pokemon there. If it's a Pikachu deck, you're already laughing at that point, because they more than likely have a Pikachu and a Zapdos on the bench, or wherever else in their hand. And they're maybe not going to be playing it, because they're trying to tiptoe around Tauros. This is the beauty of this card, and I really do see a lot of crazy shenanigans coming out of it. People are going to get really annoyed. Will it change the meta? Will it shift things? Maybe not. Maybe not exactly. Obviously, because you have to put 2 of these things in your deck to make them work. I would say relatively 100%. But even 1 could be very good. I think it's going to be interesting to see how many Pikachu and Starmies are going to get toppled by this thing. And of course, we still don't know what the other EX card is going to be for this expansion. Maybe that's going to have 120 health or 130 health. We've got absolutely no idea. It's going to be very joyful times. And Tauros is probably going to be up there front and center for a lot of deck videos. A lot of them. It's going to be great. Magmar. And yes, you guys do see Magmar on the screen. And no, we don't know if it's coming with the expansion, but hear me out, because you might be maybe nodding your head with me on this one, who knows. But a new Magmar, 80 HP, exactly the same HP as the one we already have, except this time around it's going to be dealing 80 damage for the same 2 cost, but it's going to be discarding 2 energy once it is attacked. This is diabolical. I think out of all the cards we've seen so far, both this and Dhelmise are probably the least, the least exciting. But I think Magmar does, maybe Magmar could come into the game with this. Just maybe. We might see the addition of it. It's why I included it here for. I'm going to speculate for a little bit. But when you think about it, okay? Mythical Island is an island themed. Magmar. I'm just going to go out on a whim here. You can call me silly, you can call me whatever. There might be a volcano on the island. Magmortar could emerge from the volcano. We could be seeing Magmortar. Why on earth would they be giving us another Magmar card? Why? That's clearly worse than the one we already have. Why would they be doing that for if they're not going to be releasing Magmortar at the same time? It would be a massively wasted opportunity if they don't do this. And I really hope that they do, because Magmortar could be sneakily good. Sneakily good. But of course there's that downside. If you have the new Magmar here, and it's going to be wasting all of its energy, and then you put a Magmortar on top of it, where's that energy going to come back from? But I do think that Magmortar could be seeing appearance here, if not at the end of January. 100%. Again, this is just purely speculation. I might have no idea what I'm talking about. I probably don't. But if Magmortar does come into the game, you have heard it here first. From your very friendly pocket content creator, 3D Res, okay? You have heard it here first. It might come. It might take you by surprise. It might take over Ninetales. Probably not. But you never know. You never know. But the new Magmar as it stands is dreadful. Don't use this thing, people. Okay? Sure, it could be 110 with Blaine, but Ninetales, 120 with Blaine, only takes off 1 energy. You take your pick. And I know which one I'm going for. And it's not this. Dedenne. Oh, this is a really interesting card. I don't think it's going to get to see much play, but if it does, it's going to be very enjoyable for the user if they can land a paralysis. So obviously it is a 60 HP for 1 cost, 10 attack, abysmal. However, flip a coin if heads, your opponent's active Pokemon is now paralyzed. And of course the only resemblance we have in the game currently is Pikachu. 70 HP, 2 cost for 30 attack, flip a coin, if heads, your opponent's active Pokemon is now paralyzed. Of course, there are only 3 cards in the game that can currently paralyze cards, being Pikachu, non-EX Articuno, and of course Electros. Maybe Dedenne could be good, we don't know. But as it stands at 10 damage, obviously is on the same wavelength as Psyduck. But I think Psyduck is still going to take the prize here. There's no coin needed for that. And making sure people don't use their support cards on the first couple of turns is very vital. But if you can paralyze any active Pokemon in the first couple of turns, it could sway the battle in your favor. But if you do this against a card that is literally willing to evolve, yeah, this could be bad. Maybe if you have this thing mid to late game, it could throw a lot of people off. Imagine if you go ahead and paralyze a Mewtwo or a Pikachu or whatever it is, and then you could throw the game in your favor at that point. It's going to be interesting to see how it's going to be used, but ultimately the card art looks fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. I love this so much. But as far as the stat lines go, not so much. But the ability to paralyze, it's pretty good, right? It's pretty good. And you may even see this getting thrown into Pikachu decks. You may just do if they want to try and stall or they want to try and be more of a harasser. It could happen. I wouldn't be too surprised if it does. Every edition makes worthwhile. Cut down 1 card, throw in another. Dedenne could be your guy. It could be. Larvesta. So I don't want you guys getting confused with the 2 Volcarona cards on the screen. No, they are not the ones coming into the game. And yes, we have no idea what Volcarona is going to look like. So these 2 cards are only here for a resemblance. Because when I was looking at Volcarona cards, they all shared the same thing. They either had 110, 120, or 130 health. And they either had 2 or 3 cost moves. And they shared relatively around the same attack damage as well. Obviously, there are a few cards that were crazy damage. About 130 damage was one of them. But I doubt that's going to be coming into the game for Volcarona. But I would like to be looking at these cards in general, because they have the keyword burned. Now, if you look into the game, underneath the glossary, underneath the dictionary, whatever you want to call it, for the moves listed, burned is actually in there. So, the first card reading free energy for a 60 attack, the defending Pokemon is now burned. The second card being free energy for 70 attack, you may discard an energy attached to this Pokemon. If you do, the defending Pokemon is now burned. I wonder if they're going to go ahead and introduce the burned mechanic into the game with this expansion, or if they're going to wait until January. Because it could be very interesting if they do. Maybe they might throw a few more fire cards into the mix that have this ability as well. Or they might just have it being Volcarona. It's going to throw a lot of thoughts into the works when we see this new Finn into the game. And it's going to put people questioning what it's going to look like as well in the future. Because Volcarona could only be the Finns of good things to come. So if it could apply burn, if it could, it may or may not. I think it could very well change the fire dynamic. Because obviously at the moment we are seeing a lot of Blaine or a lot of Charizard. Maybe Arcanine thrown in there as well. That's pretty much it. But if you have something like this, Finns could change. Finns could be very interesting. And Volcarona could step it up a little bit. Because obviously Larvesta being 80 HP for a 2 cost for 30 attack, it's not the best Finn in the world. It's pretty underwhelming. But Volcarona may evolve into something along the lines of 130, 140, maybe even 150 HP. We've got no idea. But I think the attack damage will be dialed up. It could be about on the lines of Ninetales 90, maybe even 100. Finns could really change if Volcarona is going to be fantastic, or if it's going to be something that's just a small little addition to any fire deck, and of course with the keyword burned. I can't wait to see if it's going to happen. I hope that it does. I really hope that it does, because it is a mechanic that is yet to be added, and maybe Volcarona will be that one. Who knows? Meet our brand new set of eggs, Exeggcute. Don't get thrown off by the Exeggutor, Alolan, that is on the screen. Please don't get thrown off by that. It's not coming into the game. We've got absolutely no idea. But again, we're going to speculate, much like we do with the Magmar, running along the island theme. Perhaps we could see Alolan Exeggutor coming in here. There's interest with this because I don't know why they would give us a new Exeggcute. Obviously, looking at the card in general, Growth Spurt, 1 cost, take a grass energy from your energy zone and attach it to this Pokemon. I have heard people rumoring that you may not need grass energy on your pool to begin with in order to yoink a grass energy from the energy zone. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. If that's not the case, saying you don't need it, then this goes into any deck no matter what it is. But of course, at that point, you got to throw in Exeggutor as well. Maybe you want 2 of these in the deck, make it double Exeggcute Ex. Whatever. They can go to any deck at that point. It could be an absolute monstrosity. But this would really be a missed opportunity if they don't include the Alolan Exeggutor in here. It'd be an absolute missed opportunity. Why, may you be asking? It's the perfect time for it. You've got a brand new Exeggcute, and you could throw this in here as well. Change things up. Obviously, we already have the very good Exeggutor at the moment, being 40 damage guaranteed for potential 80 if you get a heads on the flip of the coin. But I think the addition of our fellow long-necked palm tree friend, it could be good, people. It could be good. And there's really no telling what they could pull with this expansion, because yet again, 80 cards coming. We've got no idea what the rest are going to be. 65 plus, still yet to be announced. We got no idea. But if this is here, Magmars are included, it's gonna be beautiful times ahead. And I really cannot wait to find out come Tuesday if it's gonna be a thing or not. I just cannot wait to find out. And I really hope that it's gonna be. I'm not gonna be talking long about Dhelmise because there's really nothing to say about it. Being 100 HP, just look at the right hand side, okay? It's Lapras. It's a grass version of Lapras. There's nothing to say about this. There's really no reason why you would ever play this card. Ever. And I mean that as well. Because obviously, unlike Water, you don't have access to Misty as a grass user. And what you're going to use is with Lilligant. It's a total waste. And I feel like this is probably going to be the joke card of the expansion. Maybe Magmar could be up there with it, but we don't know what else is going to be released yet. But Dhelmise, don't even bother. I mean, if you want to, you can run it for the jokes of it. Sure, go ahead, be my guest. But on paper, it just looks really bad. Really bad. Why would you want this? I would never know. Did they run out of ideas when they made this? Probably. Ugh. Yeah, it could have been so much more than what it is here. So much more. Maybe you could be acting as a very cheap tank in the active spot to begin with. Maybe. That's probably about it. Would you be putting extra energy into this thing to get it to the threshold of 3 extra energy? I hope not, people. Okay, I hope not. Aerodactyl Ex. Oh boy, this is an interesting card. And it completes the troll lineup for Aerodactyl users. So coming in with a 2 cost and an 80 attack, 140 health, sharing the same attack name as Onix, Land Crush. Except this time around it's 10 more and it's 1 less. Is Aerodactyl Ex in a nutshell. But of course it has the ability Primeval Law. Your opponent can't play any Pokemon from their hand to evolve their active Pokemon. This is absurd. But of course you have to find yourself the old Amber, the good old Amber, before you go ahead and even care about using this. But having this on the active is still going to do job if you don't have the ability to attack. Now you're probably wondering why on earth I included Wigglytuff and Lapras here. Well, they've got exactly the same amount of health and exactly the same amount of damage. And these are the only 2 I could have had to resemble this with. But they have an extra 1 cost on top. Minus Lapras being a basic. And of course, Wigglytuff and Aerodactyl being a stage 1. But Aerodactyl is absurd. It is incredibly absurd. And do I see this being a heck of a lot of fighting decks? Yes. I really, really do. Obviously being at 80 damage, it could have been 90. Could have pushed the boat a little bit. Could have pushed it to a shore. But it's still drifting a little bit away from the bank itself. It's going to be amazing. No matter how you look at it as, if you're using it for its ability alone. 1 cost retreat as well, may I add. Or 1 cost retreat. If you're using this for its ability alone, that's great. And I just even realized you don't even have to have this on the active. You don't. You don't even have to have it on the active. You can be on your bench. I think this is going to be either a bust or it's going to be a massive top trump. I don't know what it's going to be like yet. Obviously, we don't even have our hands on it. Obviously, we don't know what else is coming alongside the expansion. But Aerodactyl Ex at the moment is looking to be monstrous. Absolutely monstrous. Be prepared to see this everywhere for weeks to come. Believe me, okay? And you might even see a surge of electric decks. It's probably going to happen. It's probably going to happen. Marshadow. This is a very interesting card. It is the 2nd fighting card we have seen thus far. Obviously, the first being Aerodactyl Ex. And it looks to be a reverse Primeape. Kind of reverse, kind of in the opposite direction, but it literally reads 2 energy, revenge 40+. If any of your Pokemon were knocked out by damage from an attack during your opponent's last turn, this attack does 60 more damage. And obviously we know Primeape doing 2 cost, 40 plus. If this Pokemon has damage on it, this attack does 60 more damage. So it's exactly the same amount of damage, however it's 10 less health. Take that as you will. But of course it's a basic, it's not a stage 1 evolution. And you don't have to meet any requirements that could potentially kill you, and you can just throw this thing out there. This is going to be interesting. And I don't know if it's going to be in a lot of fighting decks, but I know I'm definitely going to be using it quite a fair bit. I could really see this being I really say an annoyance, but it's definitely going to make people carefully think whether or not they want to kill your active there and then. Because obviously you could have Sabrina in hand, you could bring in Marshadow, you could wreck their bench. There's so many things you can do with this. And I'm also wondering as well now if the 100 damage will stick for the next turn. So, say for instance Marshadow is there on the active, and if Marshadow doesn't die, does the damage get reduced back down to 40? I think it would. I think that it would. I don't think it would stay at 100 like Primeape is. If it did, that'd be very good. But I don't think that's going to be the case. So this might just be a one-hit wonder. But if it's a one-hit wonder, you've got a mini nuke of 100. That's how you got to look at it as. So if you're only using it once in the match, you got to use it sparingly. And of course, this is going to fit well if your opponent is using Articuno and they're literally setting themselves up in the fashion an Articuno player would. Or if you're going up against a Dragonite, I could see this being useful. For sure. I definitely can be. But is it going to be everywhere? Probably not. Is that a good thing? That only literally is to behold, alright? Time will tell at that point. But Marshadow is looking to be interested in the moment. And last but not least, we have a brand new Pikachu. Now, I got this information from the website PokeBeach. I will leave it in the description below. But essentially what it reads, Pikachu was shown very quickly, but you can perfectly make out its spoiler. Its artwork comes from Neo Genesis. Pikachu, obviously being Lightning, HP 60, basic Pokemon. Its attack is Circle Circuit, 10 times damage. This attack does 10 damage for each of your bench Pokemon. It's a weird one. It's going to be doing a max of 30 damage. It is very weird. I mean, is it going to be seen play? Maybe. Maybe not. But it obviously does evolve into Raichu. Now, the Pikachu we have now, Chonkachu, is 10 less damage. It doesn't need any requirements to do max damage. So take this as you will, but more than likely you're always going to be having a full bench line of electric types. The only downside to this though is if you are going to evolve it into Raichu, it's more than likely going to get killed on the opponent's next turn. That's the only downside to this. Is it going to be seen play? I highly doubt it. But of course it will be evolving into Raichu, so she's probably just going to stay on the bench in that case. Maybe it could be great for Sabrina? Sabrina counter? I've got no idea. I don't know what the purpose of this card is going to be. It's literally a budget Pikachu EX. Literally a budget Pikachu EX. But yeah, that's the chopped off brand new Pikachu we saw. There it is in all of its glory. Take this one as you will, okay? Take this one as you will. Okay, so my face is now back. And I do have one extra little bit of information. I know I said to you before in the previous slide, that was it, no more. Well, I lied. So, Holiday Countdown Campaign, you can earn up to 12 pack hourglasses each day by logging in during the campaign period, checking gifts for each day's presents. So you can be getting a total of 36 hourglasses, meaning 3 additional packs. This is very nice. This will kickstart a lot of people, especially if you are new to the game, or you don't have the means to put real money into the game itself. You haven't been hoarding hourglasses like myself or thousands of other people, then this will give you 3 additional extra packs. I mean, okay, it's 82 cards potentially, 3 additional packs is like, wow, is that it? But it's free, you can't complain about that. But you have to log in every day. These things are not going to be there for you to collect at the end of the 3-day period. Got to be every day. What's that? Log in for like half a minute, get right back out there again. What's that? Job done. And of course you're going to be playing the new expansion, so you can get this stuff very easily. And this will be brought out 10 PM PST. But if you're in the UK like myself, or if you're anywhere else in the world, it will be on the 17th. And it will be ending on the 19th. 12 pack hourglasses each day. 3 packs. Can spend on anything you want. Even save it up for the new expansion. Do what your heart contents. Other than that, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Really do appreciate it. If you haven't, please hit that like button and hit the subscribe button as well. Let me know in the comments below what you think of the new cards, what you think the other cards are going to be. It's all about speculation at this point from now onwards until Tuesday, and I'm heavily looking forward to it. And of course, we will be focused on every single card as they come, being free to play and all. But of course, you're going to be reviewing every single card on the Tuesday. Other than that, guys, have a lovely day, whatever you're doing. If anyone likes the video, like a live stream, go out and play some Pokemon Pocket. Enjoy the Mythical Island. It's going to be a very fun time. It really is. Other than that, guys, goodbye for now. Bye-bye.